Let me preface that we don't marry much where I am from, so don't try to judge the situation by the term girlfriend. We are in the same stage as if we were married. I never thought I had to write a post in one of those subreddits before. A few weeks ago, I, 37-year-old male, overheard a conversation between my girlfriend, 29-year-old female, and her girlfriends and one gay male friend, talking about my intimacy prowess in the bedroom while coming back from a stop at the restroom and the bar, while I was hanging out with her friends. The conversation stopped when they saw me approaching. I was feeling frankly dirty and violated as I was sitting there. I'm a victim of intimacy abuse from a female daycare worker when I was a child, and she knows about it. While it does not really ever cross my mind anymore, it all came back flooding into me at that instant. And I don't know why, frankly, because it is not related. After a while of being silent, I faked not feeling well and went home. She came back later and we didn't discuss it, and I'm pretty sure she didn't think they got caught. I was feeling very distant since then with her and frankly was wondering how a grown woman could just do that without afterthoughts. But I didn't want to bring it up because I assumed she was tipsy. It wasn't a recurring conversation and that I was overreacting because of my previous situation. Also, the conversation was not negative about me at all. 3 days ago, I guess she realized I was distant and brought it up as I totally stopped initiating intimacy with her and faked being unwell for it. When she started initiating, I'm never unwell for intimacy. I told her I was feeling frankly dirty because of the conversation she had at the bar, and I didn't wish to be intimate for the time being. She said I was overreacting and that it was just banter between friends. I asked her if she discussed these things at any other times with her friends. She stammered that yes, it was a regular subject and that they had a group chat. I asked to see the group chat, and it's been going on for years. They have a report of pretty much all our intimacy relationships. They know how big I am, how large I am, what turns me on, what I like doing to her, everything. I took screenshots that I sent to myself while she was making herself busy around the house, out of shame of me reading this, I guess. The discussion has always been positive about me, but I have seen the most vile things said about their other boyfriends that I mostly know, with the most disgusting insults you can say about someone's sexuality. They also seem to be jealous of my girlfriend and treat me like an object they could exchange within their little group. I just left her phone on the couch and went for a long car drive until well into the middle of the night. I don't know what she is thinking because the next morning, she was behaving as if nothing happened. I have been going to work early and staying late the last few days, trying to digest this at work. This evening, she was waiting for me and tried to initiate intimacy with me. I just couldn't hold it back and told her, "What? You need content for a report to give to your girlfriends?" She left crying and locked herself into the bedroom. I'm not sure how to go about it. I like her as a person still, but all my intimacy feelings for her and any other women, frankly, evaporated right that night. I don't think I ever spent a month since I was a teenager without having any intimacy feeling at all. I also feel like I should tell all the other guys involved. I'm autistic, very goal-focused, and for the first time in my life, I don't see any resolution out of this situation. Edit update. I guess I just needed to vent because I'm not going to reconsider a relationship in the mental state I'm in. People who have been sexually abused at a young age tend to see intimacy and emotional relationships separately and in very black and white terms. I've had plenty of intimacy partners without problems, but only 2, where I've also formed an emotional bond. I've dug myself out of the hole I've spiraled into after remembering the abuse when I lost my virginity. In university, I was getting blackout drunk 4 to 5 times a week. After university, I started using heroin. I met her 2.5 years after I got out of that. I obviously have significant baggage, which she doesn't need to care about on a daily basis, and other people might not support. I'm not settling, I'm just saying I'll think about it later. For people asking, I'm from Quebec. We do not marry much here, like I said. The Catholic Church was kicked out in the 60s, and I can count on one hand the number of people I know who are married and born after the 70s. She's not non-monogamous because we aren't married, it's not weird, and we have no plans of getting married or discussing it. Anyway, she woke up at 8, saw I didn't sleep, and came to see me on the couch. She asked what was wrong, and I just said I didn't feel like talking, and just showed her the post. She said she understood she'd hurt me, but she didn't understand why. She thought it didn't bother me, because not much bothers me, and I was stoic as before. And she thought by showing me the chat, I'd be flattered. She asked me what she could do to fix this, and I told her I'd really like that information to not exist on their phone anymore. She showed me she didn't say anything in the group the last 3 days and deleted the group. As she was an admin, it deleted the group for everyone. I guess my state of hypervigilance abated there, and the lack of sleep caught up on me, and I just cried for a while as she was hugging me, and I eventually fell asleep. She woke me at 6:30 p.m. as my therapist called me on my phone during the afternoon, and she answered and scheduled a meeting for 7 p.m. We were still in the same position, so I assumed she stayed with me all day. I talked with my therapist for an hour before dinner she had scheduled tonight, alone. My therapist arranged for me to be stabilized at a psychiatric ER, to which I didn't agree, but did not resist either. She asked me if she could talk alone to my girlfriend, and if I'd be willing to explain what abuse I suffered if she asked after, and I said yes. My therapist spent another half hour with my girlfriend, making her solidly late for her dinner now. I don't know what they discussed, but it's evident that my girlfriend cried a lot. Anyway, she asked me about the abuse after the call, and I told her about the daycare worker that was giving the little boys back rubs during nap time. I told her about the 2-3 that were getting more than back rubs. I know them since she got arrested too. How she told us that if we were telling anyone that she wouldn't be able to make us feel good anymore. Sometimes she'd switch her tactics and tell us that we were naughty for feeling good and that if we'd tell anyone our parents would leave us. My parents divorced a year later, and I was convinced back then it was because of this. I told her what she did is way too close to the threat I was getting to be comfortable with it. She spent the rest of the evening arranging for my best friend to have a power of attorney for my affairs. She'd usually be able to do this herself because we have the same status as married people, according to the law, since we've been living together for so long. We are both pretty well off, and my payments would go through my bank account for a few months without problems anyway. She said it's because she understood how thoroughly she overstepped my trust and didn't want me to feel trapped while I recover. She agreed we can have discussions about us later, and right now it's not important. It goes without saying that I'll deal with her friends and the other boyfriends later too, for the people asking. Yes, they have the right to know too, but no one is currently in danger and it can wait. Anyway, she's currently driving me to the hospital. Peace edit 2. Quite a few comments talking about her lack of empathy. Maybe I did not explain properly, but she did not realize there was anything badly wrong before I blew her off last night, and she did not know why. She knew something was off because I was withdrawn sexually. So that's why she tried to confront the issue by waiting for me all evening, for me to come home, in lingerie to initiate intimacy. It blew up in her face, and I'd never reject her like that. I'd be crushed normally to see how she was hurt last evening. Because of the trauma, I wanted to bottle this up and was trying very hard to get over this without having to talk about it. She thought after showing me the chat, I just needed time to digest it. And the next morning, I didn't act normal and made myself scarce, so she wouldn't want to talk about it. That part is my fault, really. She is one of the most empathic people I've met. Now, for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. No, dude, that level of detail isn't normal. I don't know anyone who does this. I think you need to make your personal boundaries clear on this to her and make it clear how it made you feel. If she's right for you, she will stop it and offer an apology. I don't think you need to break up over this, but if she tries to make you look like the unreasonable one or not take any accountability for it, then you might have to. Comment 2. Her group of friends sound toxic and dangerous. These friends are people who probably even support cheating with each other. Your girlfriend having these friends and having all the influence over her is a huge red flag. Speaking and insulting their boyfriends behind their back is disgusting and awful, and tells a lot about their moral codex and characters. Would think twice if you continue with a girlfriend like that. Now, for the update, thanks for sticking around for more of my story. So, it's been a month since that whole mess with my girlfriend and her friends' group chat. I've been trying to keep my head above water, but it's like every day there's a new wave trying to pull me under. I've been working like a dog, trying to avoid going home because every time I see her, I remember those messages, and it's like a punch in the gut. But here's where I messed up. I thought I was being smart, keeping my cool, but I accidentally left those screenshots I took on my work computer. One of my coworkers saw them when I asked him to send a file from my desktop. He didn't say anything to me, but the next thing I know, the whole office is whispering. I guess I don't need to tell you how fast rumors spread. Now, I'm the guy everyone's looking at with pity, or worse, as some kind of sideshow. It's humiliating. And the worst part, my girlfriend's friends' boyfriends work in the same building. It didn't take long for them to put two and two together. They confronted me in the parking lot, demanding to know why I hadn't told them. I didn't have a good answer. I was just trying to keep my own life from falling apart. One of them, let's call him Mike, he's a hothead. He stormed off saying he was going to fix things. I didn't know what he meant until I heard that he'd broken up with his girlfriend and started a shouting match in the middle of our office floor. Security had to escort him out. Now there's talk about layoffs because the company doesn't want this kind of drama. People are scared and they're blaming me. My girlfriend, she's been trying to make things right. She's been quiet, respectful of my space. But I can tell she's hurting too. She's lost most of her friends because of this. And I know she blames herself for not understanding how deep my wounds go. But I can't comfort her. Not when I'm this raw. Last night, she sat me down and said she's been thinking about us, about how we can't go on like this. She suggested we take a break, give each other some space to heal. I wanted to argue, to tell her that's not what I wanted, but the words wouldn't come. So I just nodded and she packed a bag and went to stay with her sister. It's quiet in the apartment now. Too quiet. I keep going over everything in my head, wondering if I could have handled things differently. But what's done is done. I've got to live with the consequences of my actions. And right now, that means figuring out how to rebuild my life, piece by shattered piece. Thanks for reading. My husband thought we could just ship his sister with Down syndrome off to assisted living. But I showed him what family means, and now we're opening our home and hearts to her full time. My husband and I, 24-year-old female, had a conversation a couple of days ago that has me thinking. His sister, 13-year-old female, has Down syndrome. She is almost entirely nonverbal, except for a few words here and there. She has a lot of trouble doing things for herself, such as making food and using the bathroom. She is super sweet, and our family loves her dearly. Currently, his parents are taking care of her, but they made a comment that someone will have to watch her whenever they pass. I obviously don't think they will pass anytime soon. But this is an important conversation to have a solid plan in case something does happen. Right now, it seems like my husband and I are going to be the ones who take care of her due to his siblings not being reliable. Some even saying they don't want to. My husband and I have thrown around ideas such as assisted living or her living with us. However, both have brought up big cons. He's worried she will be lonely in assisted living, and we are also aware of how expensive it can be, which is an expense I don't know if we will be able to afford always. As for her living with us, he thinks this would be a better option, but I'm not that certain. I'm worried about a lot of different things. What if we can't work from home, and she has to be alone all day? What if she wanders out of the house? What if she hurts herself and can't call 911? What if she can't use the toilet? What if she can't feed herself? I also have been thinking about the fact we want to have a family. We currently want around 3 kids. We will always have to make sure there is 1 extra bedroom, 1 extra plate, etc. from our original plan. What if our kids have soccer practice and we can't be home until 9 p.m. and she's there by herself all day? We also have a dog that she doesn't get along with since the dog gets excited and it scares her. That's if our sweet girl is still around whenever all of this happens. We plan on traveling often, which would mean we would either have to cater our plans towards bringing an extra adult or somehow figure out how someone can take care of her while we are away. We love outdoor activities and plan on taking our kids, when they are old enough, camping, hiking, and biking, all of which she would have difficulty with. I'm also worried about any problems this may create between my husband and me if she were to move in, just simply having another person in the house. I love my sister-in-law to death, but I don't know that her living with us permanently would be a good idea. I feel kind of like a POS thinking about all this because I really love her and don't want to think of any of these negative thoughts, but I just can't kick them from my brain. My husband has listened to all these thoughts and is also contemplating them, but he is much more on board than me with her living with us. I'm not sure what to do or even what to say. I don't want anything I say to offend him, but I don't know that this would be the best idea. Any advice is welcome. Now, for a few comments before the update, comment 1. Your in-laws and husband need to look into a special needs trust for your sister-in-law. They cannot and should not count on you to provide her physical care, as other Redditors have outlined in the comments. ETA. A group home can be beneficial, as your sister-in-law would be living with her peers and participating in daily educational and recreational activities with them. She wouldn't be lonely in the slightest. Comment 2. If you're in the USA, she should be eligible for a variety of services to assist with the cost of assisted living, unless one of you plans to be a stay-at-home parent. It's not feasible for her to live with you. I think something to be mindful of is that nothing is permanent. If assisted living doesn't work, she can move back home. Those places often have pretty robust social programs, though. So I wouldn't worry about loneliness as much as I'd be on guard for abuse and neglect when evaluating options. Now, for the update, thanks for sticking with me on this. So, the past couple of weeks have been interesting to say the least. Just when I thought we had time to figure things out, life threw us a curveball. My husband's parents had a health scare. His dad had a minor heart attack, and suddenly the conversation about his sister's future wasn't just theoretical anymore. We spent days in the hospital, and the reality of his parents' mortality hit us hard. They're okay now, but it was a wake-up call. We had to start making decisions, and fast. My husband, bless him, he's always been the rock in his family, and now he was talking about remodeling our home to make it safer for his sister. He even started looking into local day programs for adults with special needs. But here's where I messed up. I was talking to my friend about the whole situation, and I didn't realize my husband was within earshot. I said something about how taking care of his sister might be too much for us, especially with our plans to have kids. I didn't mean it to sound harsh, but it did. My husband heard me, and it hurt him deeply. He thought we were on the same page, and hearing my doubts spoken out loud to someone else made him question our partnership. The tension at home was thick. We were both walking on eggshells, trying to navigate this new uncertainty between us. It didn't help that his siblings were nowhere to be found. They'd all but disappeared, leaving us to handle everything. In the midst of this, his sister's behavior started to change. She became more withdrawn, barely interacting with us. It was like she could sense the stress in the house. We got a call from her school about her declining participation, and we knew we had to do something. We sat down, just the two of us, and had the most honest conversation of our marriage. We laid out all our fears, our hopes, and what we could realistically handle. It was raw and emotional, but it was necessary. We decided to reach out to a financial advisor to talk about the cost of assisted living and what we could afford. We also contacted a social worker who specialized in cases like my sister-in-law's to explore all our options. The social worker was a godsend. She helped us find a day program that was a perfect fit for my sister-in-law. It had activities she loved, and it would give her the social interaction we were afraid she'd miss in assisted living. We also found out about respite care services that could help us when we needed a break or wanted to travel. But the real turning point came when my husband's brother, who'd been out of touch for years, called out of the blue. He'd heard about their dad's heart attack and wanted to help. After a long conversation, he offered to take his sister in for a few weeks every summer to give us a break. It wasn't a complete solution, but it was more than we ever expected from him. We're still figuring things out, but we're doing it together. My husband and I are stronger for having gone through this, and we're committed to making sure his sister has the best life possible, no matter what that looks like. It's not going to be easy, but we're ready for the challenge. Thanks for reading. My husband jokes about not wanting kids and secretly dates a child-free woman. So I leave and start my journey to motherhood without him. We've been together for 11 years, married for 4, and I've always wanted kids. I've been upfront with him about this since day one, but he doesn't feel the same way. Before I get a bunch of messages saying we should have had this discussion beforehand, we actually have multiple times. In the beginning, he told me I was the only person he could see himself having kids with. But after we got married, he started saying he didn't want them. We've had multiple serious conversations about it, but he never sees it from my perspective, and his mind keeps changing. Recently, he's been sticking to the no having kids thing, and after another serious talk, we've resolved nothing. While I understand that it wouldn't be fair to make him have a kid with me if he truly doesn't want one, I also feel it isn't fair that he's led me on all these years, making me believe we would eventually have them. It also hurts my feelings that he constantly jokes around with our friends and family about it, knowing how it affects me. For example, if someone mentions our future children, he quickly shuts it down and laughs. So what should I do? Is there any resolve? I truly love my husband, and I couldn't imagine my life without him. But I always thought we would have children together. Edit. I've tried reading through all the comments, and I appreciate everyone who did. To clear up a few things first, I'll play devil's advocate here and say that I truly believe that in the beginning, he didn't have an issue with having kids with me, but his mind changed over the years. However, I also believe that this new mentality is coming from him, getting swept up in this woke culture. It's like he's becoming one of those people who says, "My eyes are finally open, and I refuse to be a sheep anymore." Being child-free seems to be important to him. But yes, I won't tolerate his jokes anymore. I also want to mention that it's really hard to sum up a relationship or a person in one post. Our relationship is usually very good, but you all have opened my eyes to what might need to happen. I'm going to sit him down and suggest couples therapy first, because I truly love him and want to at least try before making such a big decision. Thank you, guys. Maybe I'll have a positive update for you in the future. Now, for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. He won't change his mind. Trust me. It's better to end the relationship and move on while you still can. The longer you waste your life on him, the less chance of a family you have. My ex never wanted kids, so I left. Now I have 2 beautiful children. Sometimes people are just a chapter in our story. Comment 2. Why are you asking us? Never having children sounds like a sad, empty home. I am a man. You are in love with a manipulative liar who would do anything to have the woman he loves, including screwing her chance to have a family. It will never happen, followed by him laughing. Ugly. Now, for the update. Thanks for the support on my last post. Things have taken a turn since then. Just last week, I thought we were on the same page about going to couples therapy. But out of nowhere, my husband dropped a news. He confessed that he's been seeing someone else. Someone who apparently shares his views on being child-free. I was blindsided. All those years, all those conversations, and this is how I find out where his heart truly lies. I found out because he slipped up. He mentioned a movie that we hadn't seen together, and when I asked him who he went with, he tried to brush it off, but I knew something was off. I pushed for the truth, and it all came pouring out. He met her at one of those meetups for people who are into the whole child-free philosophy. They connected over their shared beliefs, and it went from there. I'm reeling from the betrayal. It's not just about the kids anymore. It's about trust, about loyalty. How could he do this to me? To us? I've been loyal to him, and I've been honest about what I wanted from the start. And now, I'm left wondering if any of it was real for him. The worst part is, he's not even remorseful. He says he feels liberated, like he's finally living his truth. He's been staying with a friend since the confession, and I'm left in our home, surrounded by memories of a life I thought we were building together. I've been talking to my best friend a lot. She's been my rock through all of this. She told me she had her suspicions about him changing so much, but she didn't want to interfere. She's been urging me to think about what I want for my future, with or without him. I've decided to take some time for myself. I'm staying with my sister for a while just to clear my head. It's been tough, but it's also given me some clarity. I've realized that I can't force someone to want the same things I do. And maybe, just maybe, I'm better off without someone who can betray me so easily. I've started looking into my options. I've always wanted to be a mother, and I'm exploring what that could look like on my own. Adoption, sperm donors, I'm researching it all. It's scary, but it's also exciting to think that I could still have the family I've always dreamed of, even if it's not the way I originally planned. As for my husband, he's reached out a few times. He wants to talk, but I'm not ready. I need to figure out what's best for me before I can even think about what to say to him. I'm not sure if there's anything left to salvage, and I'm not sure I want to try. So that's where I'm at. Betrayed, but not broken. I'm picking up the pieces of my life and moving forward, one step at a time. Thanks for reading. If you like this video, you'll probably like these too. Also, while you're here, please consider subscribing. It's your support that keeps this channel alive and allows me to make better and longer videos. Have a great day.